What is going on, people? Welcome back. It is another episode of Unfiltered coming your way right here. And right now, it'll officially go down your scorecards as episode number 281. You could jump on board 24/7, 365 on the Unfiltered Revolution. It is easy. Apple, Spotify, everywhere you get your podcasts. Go to the artist formerly known as Twitter, X, if you will, at Casey Stern. Go up into the bio. Follow through right there to the YouTube channel, and you could like, subscribe, and view all the content. Now 280 plus episodes deep, and we are finally live on Instagram. As I've said, it is kind of being new on Instagram for our show, being like on MySpace, and Tom's our only friend. So give us a follow at Unfiltered with Casey Stern. We're going to get around the Major League Baseball here from a Monday, the official first full week, if you will, of the season. Push some panic buttons, talk about where you need to step away from the ledge and where some of you need to step into the liquor cabinet, all of that and more. But first, importantly, we are presented by our good friends at BetOnline, number one source for all your sports betting needs. They got all the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, basketball, boxing, golf, any sport you can imagine. And they are the fastest and easiest way to get your wagers. Live casino and card games, they're all available right now, right from your phone. So head over to the website, use the mobile device today, get in on the action, but remember to use the promo code BELIEVE, it's BLEAV. It'll get you a 50% bonus on your welcome deposit. It is BetOnline where the game starts, and we get started here with a congratulations to Ronel Blanco. First no-hitter of the season, does it in only, the fifth game of the season for the Astros. Eighth career start for a guy who once was signed for just $5,000 out of the Dominican Republic. 105 pitches, 72 were strikes. Brilliant performance, and you got to feel so good. Look, anybody who throws a no-hitter, you feel great for them because of the moment that it is. But what a feel-good story for a kid like this to do something like that in his eighth career start. So congrats to him. Congrats to the New York Yankees. They have opened up 5-0. It is, one of these things that we talk about in April all the time, where you can't get to the postseason, right? You can't win a World Series in April, but can you lose it? Well, it depends how bad it is. And we'll get to some of the bad White Sox. We'll get to some of the terrible New York Mets, among others, so far, with some of the 0-4s and 0-5s. But when you look at getting off to a good start, part of the importance of that is the confidence. And some teams don't need it. So, look, if the Texas Rangers had gotten off to, and unfortunately the Young injury obviously didn't help yesterday, but if they had gotten off to a bad start and were 1-5 in their first 6 games, not a big deal with Bruce Bochy and coming off of the season you just had. Take a deep breath and move forward. Honestly, the Astros, who had jumped out the gates 0-4, losing all those games and getting swept by the Yankees, really not that big of a deal because of the metal that you have in that room and that moxie and that attitude and all of that experience. They're not going to start freaking out. But some teams need that confidence boost because there are so many questions, and because you go into a season with a Garrett Cole being down and understand the importance of that. First 5-game win streak to open the season in 32 years for the New York Yankees. First career 4-hit game for Anthony Volpe. He also drove in a run. Yankees, by the way, also started their year with 5 wins in 5 games in 1933, 1988, and 1992. The 2070 Yankees started 6-0, but had a tie in their 3rd game. Impressive performances back to back to back to back to back for a Yankee team that has opened 5-0. It hasn't been that brilliant for the Cubs across the board in terms of win total, a little up, little down. But when you look at the way that Shota Imanaga pitched yesterday, you're a Cubs fan, you're out of your seats, and you are absolutely pumped up about the possibilities of being that team who could be the best in the National League Central. He was brilliant. Watching this performance yesterday, his command of the fastball, 6 innings pitched, no runs, 2 hits, no walks, 9 strikeouts. Brilliant performance for a guy in his debut, and he's been overshadowed. I mean, look, you talk about guys who are coming over here and pitching in the States, pitching in the league for the first time. And really, the only one that anybody has talked about, if we're being fair nationally, and I understand it, and I understand the stuff, and certainly understand the $325 million he was paid. But that's Yamamoto, because everybody's talking about everything, clearly, with the Dodgers. And we'll get to them in a second. But Imanaga has been forgotten a little bit and should not be. Brilliant performance in his debut yesterday. Congrats to him. Mentioned the Dodgers. Let's go there. They get another win. They scored another 8 runs. Ho-hum. If you've been listening to this show and this podcast, I really like the chances for the Giants to surprise this year. Came out yesterday. We'll get to see Blake Snell here in a few days. Like the way the rotation sets up. Conforto, by the way, been talking about him. Another home run yesterday. So he really is kind of looking to have a resurgent season. But speaking of home runs, Teoscar Hernandez, you know how great your offseason was when you get Ohtani and when you bring in Glasnow and when you get Yamamoto, etc., and so on down the line, and already have Betts and Freeman, and we all know that. And you lock up long-term Will Smith, and we could go on forever. But people forgot in that forever somewhere. You all must have forgot. Teoscar, a beast. 4 home runs already in the last 4 games. Hits another one yesterday. And when you look at the depth of that lineup with the Dodgers, when you've got Ohtani and Betts and Freeman, and you get past them, and then you still got Smith, and you think about Muncy, and you think about Teoscar Hernandez, I have no idea what the Dodgers are going to do this year. Last year, they were a team that was supposed to get to the World Series and had won a division. The Diamondbacks, wiped them out in 3 games like it was nothing. So it doesn't mean anything in some respects, the regular season, and we're going to be talking about that a lot with the Dodgers. Are they staying healthy? Sure, that's important. Are they confident? Sure, it's important. Is everybody having a good season individually? Yeah, it's important. In July, do they get what they need at the deadline? Yeah, that's important. But we're going to be talking about really their season for all intents and purposes because of their pressure and because of what they've done. We'll start in October. But make no mistake, this team is dirty. They are nasty. They are stacked. They are absolutely freaking stacked. And off to a great start offensively. Another 8 runs put up yesterday. How about the offense late in the last couple of days for the Cincinnati Reds? Spencer Steer had the go-ahead grand slam home run in the 9th inning to beat the Phillies yesterday, who, by the way, the Phillies have had issues, and their bullpen has had big-time issues in a couple of big spots, and that is a major, major concern if you're a Philadelphia Phillies fan. Major concern. Was it 8, 9 runs their pen gave up? I think it was maybe 7 in the 7th or in the 8th. 9 total in the opener of the season. Yesterday, we saw it an issue again. Reds, they had the back-to-back home runs the night before in a 9th inning to get a win, and then they get another win yesterday. But in the Central, wins. You can only talk about wins. You can only talk about the Pirates. They got 5 of those. Are you a believer in Pittsburgh about what you have accomplished? Are you a believer in Pittsburgh that PNC can now be a spot where we can host playoff games again and get pumped up and everybody getting excited? Yeah, okay. It probably not, if we're being fair. Look, I love what the Pirates have done. First time since 1983. 40 years that they've opened up with this kind of start. But last year they did a great start too. They were 20-8, I believe, right? To open the season. They were in first place at the end of April, and all that was great, and it didn't end up really meaning much at all. Do I think the Pirates are better than last year? Yes, because their young kids are growing, and I think that's important. Do I think that they're going to give their fan base a more competitive season? I do. Do I think in this Central, where we kind of really don't at all know what we're going to get, and I know the NL Central's like that way a lot, but we really don't know. We thought the Brewers are done, and then, it only turns out, like Billy Crystal said in The Princess Bride, they're only mostly dead because they open up 3-0, right? Then we thought, the Cardinal way had lost their way, and maybe they've found it again. I mean, if Sonny Gray's healthy and so on and so forth down the line. We just talked about the Cubs. I don't know what this division is. Nobody knows. I mean, it's a mishmash right now to open it, but the Pirates, I'm just not buying them at 5-0 in terms of postseason aspirations. We'll see. There are 2 teams who have been the worst teams in baseball. Well, 3. Because if you want me to sit here and talk about the A's and how disgraceful it is, what pretty much in its entirety, everything having to do with that ownership, the situation with the stadium, and the fact that the team in that roster looked the way it does, the fact that they've got 13 errors in the first, 5 games, yeah, we could talk about that. But I almost feel like it's a detriment to the mental health of that fan base to even discuss what's going on with that team. So let's take 2 others. The Chicago White Sox are really bad. All right, they're 0-4 to open the season. They're in a division where we've said this. I'll keep saying this. And the Tigers won again yesterday. The Tigers are better. Tigers can pitch in that rotation. Tigers got a hell of a manager. They're a better team. They're a team to watch this year. We know kind of what the Twins are. I think the Guardians, I know Tito's not there, but it's still a lot of Guardians things in that organization. I love Stephen Vogt, and I think that they certainly will be in the mix. The Central in the AL will always give you opportunities, but I don't know if those are coming for the White Sox. I mean, they're a bad team. Just a bad team. They got beat up by the Braves yesterday, 9-0. Charlie Morton, I mean, pretty much untouchable. Riley hits a home run, and the Braves and Dodgers are as advertised. They're the best two teams in baseball on paper, which means nothing. But that's what they are. In the National League, you can combine the American League. You can combine any league you want. Your league on MLB The Show is the best two teams on paper in baseball. What does it mean? We'll find out. The White Sox, near the bottom. The Mets, who knows? And I said this yesterday, Met fans, and I'll say it again. I don't know what you expected. Now, you didn't expect 0-4, but it's 4 games in 162, all right? They've never lost in that franchise 4 games to open the season all at home. Well, now you have. So you did something new. Congrats and kudos to you. This team cannot hit. This team cannot score. Right now, this team cannot win. And Carlos Mendoza's opened, it's the defeated season. This is not good. And Sean Manaea gave you everything you could ever want. He was brilliant yesterday. Brilliant. What do you give him? A hit? 1 hit? 8 Ks. No runs in 6 innings. And then you get beat up and give up 5 runs in a 10th. Am I going to blame the bullpen? Tonkin, they held on for how long till they got there? Can't blame Manaea. Yeah, I know Severino wasn't good. Starting pitching, McGill wasn't great. I get the team. If this team does not hit, they can't win with that starting pitching. And if you get starts like that from Manaea and you waste them and blow them and you don't get offense and you don't help him out, well, guess what? 3 out of 4 times, your staff is likely to be 5 and dive with 3-4 runs on the other side, and you're losing. And then you got to come back with that offense. You can't blow opportunities like the one yesterday. Mets right now look like a bad team. Now, do I think they're as bad as the White Sox? No. Do I think the Mets are a terrible baseball team this season? I don't think they will be. I think they're a mediocre baseball team. But that's kind of what we knew. What did you people think was going to happen? They're not going to win 162. They'll win 4 games in a row at some point. They may even do it now. But that's going to be the season they're going to have. And that's what's going to drive you crazy. Rooting for teams that are in that muffin tops, where you're just hanging over 500. That's the worst. It's the worst life as a fan you could have. Nobody wants to be in that spot. But as a Met fan, you're in that spot this year. You're also in this spot on Unfiltered. We'll have much more to come. Very pumped up to say that our next episode of Unfiltered, which will be coming out later today or tomorrow, my guest, a longtime friend and one of the best journalists in all of sports, the best journalist in MMA, for sure, and combat sports, which I love. Ariel Helwani will be on this show. You can be with us as well. Remember, we're now on Instagram, at Unfiltered with Casey Stern. Thank you wherever you are. We'll see you next time on Unfiltered, as always, presented by our good friends